Hello and welcome to this week's episode. As we know, I'm very, very excited for my guest today, as I always am. Dominique Fletcher. She is actually a friend of mine, but she was my nervous system coach at a time when I really need her. I started to work with her just because I've met her and I thought this will be nice. But then as we started working together, it was nearly the worst year of my life of parenting. And both girls had been suffering from mental health and I couldn't fix it. And my nervous system was shot. It was already shot before I even understood what a nervous system was properly, but I had Dom in my pocket for that time, and she really was my lifesaver through that time because my nervous system was so shot. I was absolutely close to having a nervous breakdown without a doubt, and I couldn't control the uncontrollables, and the kids were getting bigger and I couldn't protect them the way I wanted to, and my nervous system was always on red alert anyway. When I worked with her, I really then understood the deep dive into the nervous system, somatics, which is actually just understanding your body, where you're feeling the stress, how to release the stress, which we do somatic works and stuff, which can be super breath work things in the moment, going grounding yourself, going to the ocean, lots of simple things without it being too complicated. But she's a nervous system coach and somatic practitioner. So she supports humans who are stressed, overwhelmed, and a bit anxious, possibly. Maybe anxious, not the right word, but just nervous system overload for the modern life that we live in. Her work is all about creating that safe presence, the sustainability, so that life is achievable even when things are stressful. Our relationships going from chaos to calm, really, because especially when it comes to parenting, we can't remove the stresses often because they're our children and it's not their fault. We all have what's called limiting beliefs that is like a bully in our head. We're trying to do the best we can as parents, and often by trying to fix and wanting to do the best, we indirectly cause ourselves a lot of stress and dysregulation. And I always talk about this. Our children's frontal cortex is not fully developed until their mid-20s, and that is the decision-making regulation space in the brain. So we're the prefrontal cortex for them till then. And so if we're dysregulated and losing it all the time, which is, again, very normal to have our nervous systems feel stressed, they're going to find it really hard to regulate if their mentor and their model, their parent, is finding it hard. So it's no blame or shame here. It's just the understanding of what we can do when our nervous system is just on fire. So really what we want to talk about today is stress management in parenting and really understanding the nervous system and about how we can regulate that, because maybe you've heard that, maybe you haven't, but our nervous system and our bodies are incredible machines, but when it's under stress, we can get sick, we don't sleep, our brains won't function properly. So today we have another beautiful conversation about all the things that she can do and support parents in stressful times. And as I'm in the background creating my very important conscious parenting program, Dom has a whole module in there on implementing somatics and nervous system regulation in times of stress with our parenting. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. All the links will be below to find her, reach out to her in her DMs. She is an angel on earth. I'd love to hear your feedback and we'll speak to you next time. Bye. Hello, my beautiful Dom. Welcome back to the Parenting Collective podcast.
Thank you, my love, for having me here.
Well, we love each other very much. And if you go to part one, which I don't know where that was, 22, 23, if you don't have to go back to that one if you don't want to, but Dom has been in my life at a very critical time. And I've shared this a lot with everybody with really traumatic times with the girls, with their mental health. And I was lost, like a lost person, because I was trying to fix. I'm a people pleaser. No one was getting fixed. My nervous system was absolutely wrecked. It always had been my whole life anyway, not knowing that. And then, again, universe, God, everyone aligned us. And at the time that I needed you the most is when I started working with you, not knowing the absolute shit show that was going to happen. And, you were just, we will talk about exactly what you do, but what you did for me was that person to just stop, sleep, surrender, stop trying to fix, and really, really shining lights on parts of me that I knew were there, but like instead of shame or guilt or fixing, it's like, that is why you're reacting that way. That's why your nervous system's reacting that way. And so you were like one of my pivotal parts of my puzzle, my life puzzle.
I think one of the biggest moments I think was when that shifted for you was when you started to bring compassion
Yeah.
for how you were feeling.
I was very hard on myself, wasn't I?
Yeah, it
Because it
was.
wasn't working. And I'd spent my whole life trying to be perfect, trying to be a people pleaser. Again, that's another whole thing we'll get into, and about generational patterns and, understanding why I was like that. I didn't really understand that, of course. I mean, I was in, my late 40s, but had done a lot of that of growth and healing from a very long age, trying to be the best version of myself. But really, it was like, oh, poor you. Okay. You need to let the reins go a bit. And all of this is not on you. Like, I was just always so hard on myself when everything was failing around me to the people that I love the most. And then friendships and all sorts of things were falling apart. I would always blame myself.
But I think that's as a parent, I can speak as a parent myself. I think it does, when we accept that that becomes part of this huge journey that we're on as parents, is we always doubt ourselves. And
Yes.
every parent doubts on us, ourselves. And I think that's the biggest realization, because we care so much,
Mm.
is that we are doing our best and we love them so much. And if we didn't care, then we would feel like a shit parent. Then we
Yeah.
would be,
Well,
quite
no, I
frustrated.
think actually, I think the people that don't care, because they're probably not going to listen to this anyway. And if you do and you're a former not care parent, good on you. But I don't think they have these feelings. I think, and not caring is not probably the right word. If, you're able to do what you want and sort of live that life and you are a parent, then typically what I've seen is they don't tend to get as affected as someone like myself who was oversensitive.
Yeah, and I think it's
You know,
important to say, like, because when you start the journey of self-discovery and you have more awareness, it can make it so much more intense in your nervous
oh,
system.
terrible.
But then when I think you start to have that awareness and understanding of you learning about your body and what's
Yeah.
going on in your body with your nervous system,
Mm,
then it's never about getting it right. It's about
mm,
constant recalibration of your body and tuning into
yeah.
making decisions from your body.
I know.
That
And I wasn't listening. I was sick all the time. Like I look back
Mhm.
at my life and I was already had a stressful personality because of my dad and other situations and stuff like that. Again, he did the best he could. He was not regulated and all of that. Um, and then I was always in my head, the victim, like poor me. I was never across like that, but my nervous system always felt like I was on fire a lot. And that's why I traveled and I loved all that sort of stuff to get away from my life, I suppose, as I knew it here. But we don't have to run away anymore, is the
Yeah.
biggest thing, is like we can actually, my life is still can be very chaotic, but my whole body and my whole mind is so different. And I just enjoy every day of the craziness because life is going too quickly.
Yeah,
And
and I'll never forget the time when you said, "I will be okay once everything is
I
okay
know
around me." And that was
that doesn't happen.
what was setting your nervous system. And
Totally.
when we work from the outside in, we're always going to be in this emotional cycle, up,
Oh,
down, down.
terrible.
And I think the changing moment is when you kind of start tuning in and going, what is my body doing? What's my body
Yeah.
telling me? Like, you just needed to sleep.
Oh my gosh, didn't I?
Just
And
needed
I
to
remember having an hoodie on. It was winter and I didn't have the
sleep.
hoodie thing on. And I just said, I'm so tired. And again, it was my people pleasing perfectionist is like, I cannot, that's lazy. I can't sleep. What do you
Body's
mean? Blah, blah, blah,
rattling.
blah, blah. My work, my life is falling apart. I'm trying to keep this business
Yeah.
together. And my kids are so unwell and everything's just my fault. It's my fault. No one wants to see me. I'm crazy, whatever. And I was exhausted. And you just was like, put that hoodie on your head and go and sleep.
You know,
And I think it was this, oh, really?
mission, you got to.
The way you talk to me through it sounds so stupid, doesn't it? Have a sleep, Donna.
But
But
it's the conditioning,
yeah,
Donna. It's the conditioning that is so deeply rooted, and that we're
yeah,
living this life of this rule book which
yeah.
doesn't even exist.
It was
And
our own. It was my
we're
own. And
keeping
a failure.
running.
I'm
Yeah.
failing. Like, why am I going to sleep when
Yeah.
everything's failing. I don't
I've got to go straight into fixing.
Yeah.
What happens is whenever we're feeling any emotions, whatever's going on for us, we go straight into fixing when really the empowerment in it is to go, well, nothing, I don't like using the word good or bad, but
Yeah.
nothing productive comes from I'm depleted and I'm tired. The ego's loud, everything seems worse. Your nervous system is dysregulated, so it's not going to, your thought patterns aren't going to work. Your brain's not going to work at its full capacity. It's like take that step back, honor your body first, then you'll have the wisdom that'll come in. Then you'll have
I
the
know.
guidance.
And we're making it sound so easy.
Yeah,
But
and
I
it's
do
not.
want to say to everybody, and I'm working so closely with so many families and parents of older kids and marriages, and I'm really supporting so many people around this. And it takes. I keep saying to everybody because they're like, "Oh, that's amazing that's happening for you," and I'm like, I keep saying it, but I have to say it because I feel like I'm only just starting though. I'm 51 and I've spent 30 years of healing, growing. I've been in the fast lane with that. I wasn't someone that was like, oh, plodding along. I was like, right, got to fix it. And I said, so it's a muscle. If you've got a bicep you want to train, you have to do those bicep curls for months, don't you? And so all of this goodness is a muscle you can train, and it's going to feel uncomfortable and wobbly and lazy and completely against the grain of maybe what you have been, but it just comes back to our nervous system, doesn't it?
And it does. And the key thing, a lot of these tools that I teach seem really, really simple, but it's the continuous embodiment and it's the consistency.
I know.
And Donna, you know my story, but if you're listening to me for the first time, I've lived my whole life in survival mode with an alcoholic mom and then going through a really difficult marriage and a separation that has brought me to my knees, but
Yeah.
something that I had to do for my mental health and my well-being. And to be a single mom now of two young kids, it tests me to my max, but I also have these tools that I can feel what I need to feel and I can pick myself back up, and I feel this joy in my body and this deep sense of connection that I never ever ever knew existed.
Yeah.
And that has been through keeping showing up and using these tools over and over again, especially when I doubt the process, especially when I'm scared. Those are the juicy moments.
I
Those,
know.
who are we being in those moments of complete polarity? And something that I teach, I'm not going to come in here and tell you that you get enlightened and that's it. It's like there's no top of the mountain. It's this continuous. Some days you're going to feel like you're all over it and you feel joyful, and other days you're going to be on your knees. And when we accept that and show up for ourselves when we're on our knees, this is our kids are watching how we show every single day.
And I think I reflect back on all of that because, it's like a review, as Eloise said. Because with our podcast that I did a part one and part two with Eloise, and I have heard such great feedback. But a lot of parents are either in it, they're like, thank you for sharing, or I've got the older kids go, oh my gosh, I'm going to ask my kids that question. Because what we do as parents, we either hide our emotions. Like I can reflect now because I'm sharing my stories. But, when I was at my worst, I felt like I hid a lot. But understanding that our body language and our tone is 93% of communication, 93. So then I could be coming out going, yeah, everything's fine, everything's no way, my heart's not fine. And they would have felt that. And on reflection, of course I've had to work through shame and guilt, and I did the best I could. But it's not, or we don't have to hide it from our kids all the time. We don't have to show them the messiness all the time. But the real emotions of being upset, and then, again, age appropriate, like explain to them you've had a tough day or you're tired, and then there's repair, and then your tools of like your breath work.
And there's going to be many times that we absolutely lose it as a parent, or we, and that again is us showing this full humanness of who we are. And, talking, I am very conscious. I don't always get it right, but I say, hey, mom's, her nervous system's feeling really heightened at the moment. I feel really like on edge. I need to go and diffuse this, or I've had a really tiring day. Like, this is how I'm feeling. And be able to communicate. We can't always communicate in those moments, but when and this is what I teach, and going to be working with Donna to help teach you these tools, is having these like tools to go, right, I notice I'm heightened, my body's charged up. Okay, I need to go into my cocoon. I need to go and process this, discharge my body, use the tools, then come back to that center point and then communicate.
Yeah.
And going through that
Let's go.
process of, oh, I'm triggered. Where am I feeling this in my body? Okay, let's release this first. What do I need to learn about this?
Right.
It's a process.
It's
And
a
it's
process.
like, I just had a client now, just come off for a client now who was going through some parenting difficulties, challenges. And straight away, when we discussed them, I said, where do you feel that? Straight away, she went, heart and the stomach.
No.
And because of the work and the integration that we're doing, she's able to have that deep sense of knowing in her body where she's feeling that. And she knows why she's feeling that. And she knows she's triggered.
And I think about, again, always think, oh, poor little Donna, is that I was so sick after I had Molly, and my mum left my dad, and my dad has always been the most challenging, and, worked through that, forgiveness and everything, but not his fault. He came from a terrible childhood and stuff. But that's when I got my sickest. When my mum left my dad, I've always been a bit of a sicky person in regards to, allergies and stuff like that. No, but when I had Molly and she was about 6 months old, my mum left my dad, and he was all on me, and it was bad, emotionally bad. He would just rock up, and I got diverticulitis, where my bowel burst, which is like an old person's disease. I was like 34. I had all of these things happen, and I look back, and it was for 10 years. I was constantly sick because that was the beginning of underlying cortisol stress my whole life, not dealing with it. Then something big like that happened, and then my body just, like, I was in and out of hospital, And why I say that, I'm not scaring people, is that if we don't acknowledge the nervous system and push it down, and I'm okay, it'll come out somewhere else, won't it, Dom?
Yeah. And also, like, as I said, the kids learn that, oh, it's okay. And then they learn to push it down. And, I can relate to that. Well, 5 years ago, I couldn't walk with
fibro
and adrenal fatigue. And I was a personal trainer at the time. I mean, and the kids had to pick me up off the floor. I still had to carry on. I had to cook dinner sitting down, and standing up was an effort. But what I want to share with everyone today is your body remembers every single thing. Every time you unheard, every time you unseen. And when you get triggered by your kids, it's usually because of your nervous system brings you back to then. And that's why you feel this overwhelming, ball of emotions.
Yeah.
And we want to try and kind of rationalize it and fix it in the moment. You can't. I always say, right, go into the body, diffuse it, discharge it, because you can't fix it in the moment. We go straight into fixing mode instead of feeling.
And then it's like fire with fire sometimes. Well, it was fire and fire with me. Not fire but I was emotionally charged, and gosh, anyway.
Telling you to calm down would be the worst thing.
Oh my gosh, totally.
It's like telling someone not to sweat when they're exercising is an automatic reaction. It's like, okay, Donna, let's get into the body. You get angry. I want to hear you scream. I want to hear you shout. I want to hear you express. Like, let that out. That little girl that froze herself and was unable to express this, express it now. Because when we keep doing this over and over again, we're discharging it from the nervous system. So you don't have to hold it anymore.
That's right. And the thing is, again, reflection, for me, lived experience, and now understanding it, and, is we talk about triggers, and rather than saying that our kids trigger us, it's actually the triggers within, like you're trying to say. So it's like when things can get challenging as parents, is sort of toddler age, they start pushing boundaries, teens. And usually if you look back, it's like, oh, I wasn't allowed to, voice my opinion. I wasn't allowed to get angry. I was supposed to be, whatever it might be, thousands of things. And it's it's this internal human biology hormonal reaction. It's not you logically thinking,
And it might also be, noise or conflict or that type of thing is triggering for you because maybe you experienced that a lot. And it's looking at the patterning. But once you kind of start to go, actually, I'm not going to shame myself for having this physical reaction. It's just giving me feedback.
Totally.
Okay. It's just giving me feedback. And, you know, say this situation with this client who was feeling challenged with a teenager, wanting him to step up for himself and do the things and learn the tools. Instead, she was jumping in there. And the reason she kept jumping in there was because when she was younger, she felt like she had to earn love. She had to be very independent and didn't have that support. So if she doesn't do this for him, then he's not going to love her.
No, I know.
That's where this core is coming
Totally.
from.
And this is all the work that we're supporting people with, isn't it? It's like I said, it's not a diagnosis or anything's wrong with you. It's shining the light of,
That's
righto. And then the whole thing about conscious awareness and living and whatever, all different ways that we look at it. It is understanding when you have a love for your child, as we do with people that we work with for sure, is it ends up being understanding that parenting's about modeling and mentoring. It's not about telling them, like I was saying, if you were going to tell your kids to learn how to fish by, here's the book, read the book. Read the book. And I'm going to tell you what to do when you go down there. How do you reckon that fishing's going to go? And then, but you go down there and show, mentor, model, and that's parenting. I know it sounds so simple, but they don't have to be, coerced and put out on their own to learn it,
it is all embodiment, because again, we can listen to this podcast and we can be like, yes, okay, this has really spoken to me, but it's who are we consistently showing up?
Totally.
Like, how are we showing up? What's our energy? Are we being compassionate? Are we reading our body? Are we getting to know our bodies? Like, constant keep showing up, especially when we're in those depths of pain and frustration and nothing feels like it's changing. And I remember you wanted to go into whose room, like you knew that you felt this separation and you wanted to go into her room to try and fix it, but she needed her space and needed her decompression. It was only out of fear that you were just like, let's just build this bridge.
Oh, totally. And Molly, as much as it's Eloise is doing the interviews and sharing her story, which I'm so proud of, and I've said this to Molly hasn't even listened to them, because I'd love for her to be part of this, but she's just not that interested. That's fine. She's the one that we did all of the evolution for her, like I said, you're the one, babes, and it was going to the family counseling, which was the beginning of understanding conscious awareness of parenting, not like, this is not working, why is she not doing what we're saying? We're such good parents, we provide for everything. That doesn't matter. And she's always been quite right, but because she's a kid or a 15-year-old kid, you're like, how dare you, kind of thing, that's what people do, like, you can't talk to me like that. But in that space, when we had 2 family counselors with us, she just said, stop caring so much. And I was like, this is more.
And it's like,
but then the counselors were really good at saying and turning it around, and for me to see is like, I am too invasive. She's not like Eloise. Eloise would sleep in bed with me and like, besties. And Molly loves me. I love her, but she is a person that needs her space. I was like invading her space of like, are you okay? What can I do? And it was actually making it worse. And so
she needed that for a nervous system to recalibrate.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just wanted to know. And then when you start to read the language of your body, you can read the language of theirs and say, my boy, I mean, he's 8 now, but if he hurts himself or there's something he's experiencing, he doesn't want me to touch him until he's ready for a hug. And I have to just literally sit there. Or he wants me to leave the room.
Totally.
And once you see it in their body language.
No, and I didn't know that. And because my relationship, again, we get into generational patterns and stuff like that. My mum and I were really close, like in regards to, she's really, I really needed her my whole life, and I was really close to her. So I, as an egotistical thing, without knowing it was egotistical, I'm like, she needs me. Molly needs me. Like, why is she pushing me away? But it wasn't that. It was just like her nervous system, the way her brain works, needed space. And so that's the thing, is understanding and supporting parents to understand it's not that they're not being loved. It's not. We've got to really step out of our comfort zone and let things evolve rather than smother and fix.
Yeah, because there's that fear that this bond is going to be broken.
Yeah, that was it.
Not going to need you or love you. And I very much experienced this with when I don't have their kids, because I'm
Yeah,
at the
fiction.
moment the dad's starting to have them a bit more,
Yeah,
and that's brought up a lot for me.
yeah.
Well, do they not need me, or I'm doing something
Mhm.
wrong, and
Yeah,
how will that affect the bond? And
a
it's
lot.
something we have to keep working through in our bodies.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm.
Love it. So,
Yes.
not that I've talked too much about it, but yes, a little bit about what I'm going to get you to be part
Mm.
of, which I'm thrilled about. I'm creating a very unique space in groups of like maybe 10 or so families, that will sort of not interviewed, but really, really needing the support around, parenting, like maybe some strong-willed kids, maybe they're feeling like they're a bit lost on how to parent, but really a nurturing space in a group as well. But what I'm wanting you to do for one of the modules is regulation, nervous system
Oh,
regulation, short, sharp,
yeah.
because what happens with parenting, we can't think at times and it's really stressful. But yeah, with that sort of in mind, when we're talking about a situation where, you're already at your wit's end as a parent and you're coming in and you've got a child that might be quite strong-willed. So they're not compliant, they're just a little bit fiery. And you are just like normally really upset and you sort of, please don't do that or whatever, really frustrated.
Or
What's
raging inside.
Yeah, raging inside, maybe raging on the
Or
outside too.
raging on the outside.
Yeah, same thing. So, and again, obviously, as people get to know you, they can obviously work with you as well. But what sort of things could they do in the interim, like not interim, probably it's too much to ask, but I know it's easy
At
for us to
those peak moments.
yeah, I
Mm.
know it's easy for us to say we need to come back to ourselves and nervous system, but where can people start when if they might hear this and go, where do I start? Of course, contact you. We'll give you all the details in the show notes. But yeah, what in those
Where
really consistent, stressful situations, it might be dinner time, it might be getting them to go to school. Do you have any sort of like a few top tips of like what to do in the moment and practicing for that, or like having breaks, leaving the space, like bridging conversations, like what anything?
I think where the change comes is the work that you do outside those
Okay, before the
situations, when
situation. Yeah,
you are regulated and you're practicing the techniques, so that when you are in those heightened moments, that you have those tools that you've
okay,
practiced.
yeah,
But, for something for the listeners to take away from them is in those moments, bringing awareness to go, oh my God, I am
yeah,
I'm
people,
about to lose it, or I just have done.
yeah,
Just, it's a pause.
yeah,
It
Paul.
sounds really, really simple.
I know.
A pause, like hand on my heart.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
I'm in it right now. I'm in
Yeah.
it. I'm in it now.
Hmm.
Because this is what happens when we're at the point of real, this is actually the juicy spot when we're really triggered. This is the point that we rewire.
Right. Yep.
The
Bit by bit.
point that we embody a different way of being. It's so, so uncomfortable, but this is the juicy spot.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, okay, I'm triggered. I'm angry. I'm
Hmm.
frustrated. I just need them to eat their dinner. I'm
Yeah.
really tired.
Yeah.
Speaking that out loud, even in front of them,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
yeah. Mum's
right
losing it.
now,
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm at my point. This
Yeah.
is what I do with my kids. I'm at that point. I am about to blow, or
Yeah.
I have blown.
Yeah.
Those are the points where I take myself away.
Yeah.
I know it's not always easy if you've got toddlers,
No, that's right.
but it's also creating that safe space. But even them actually seeing you discharge what's going
Yeah.
on in your body.
Hmm.
So I had an incident, and so I'll take you through, an incident with the dad that happened, and I was raging inside with what had happened
Yeah.
because it wasn't okay. And the kids saw that in me. They saw the change and shift in my
Yeah.
energy and the
Yeah.
tightness in my body. And I said, I'm really angry.
Yeah.
What? And there's a pillow there, and I hit the pillow. I was like, oh. And they just they looked at me, and I was like, do you want to do the same?
Yeah.
Mum's just letting out. I was talking them through the process of
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
was doing.
It's
And
modeling.
it's like, if you are in that position where you've got toddlers in front of you and you can't just disappear into a room
Yeah.
and
Scream
process
into a
that and
pillow.
shape it, it's
Yeah.
like, let them actually see and be part of this journey, because
Yeah.
this is actually the human experience. Mum's
Yeah.
being human, or dad is being human right now.
Yeah. And anger is
And
for me,
anger,
I was
to
never allowed to
normalize
be
anger.
angry. Yeah. And I had
Yeah.
to do so much breath work and so many things to be able to, it was so trapped in because my dad never let me be angry. I was never allowed to be angry. And see, then my dad was angry all the time. So that was unregulated anger. So the anger that you're talking about is like not being
A
frightened of.
healthy, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not
It's
projecting it onto
not.
anyone.
No.
You're like, oh, and you're showing them whatever that looks like. And and let that process happen.
Yeah.
And then notice, like, you might have to do it over and over again and just notice what happens to your body.
Hmm.
It might discharge it a little bit and then it comes back up again. And this is where you have to keep on going. And I'll never forget when I was in a workshop and a woman had said, the facilitator had said that she was sexually abused when she was younger. And she did this rage practice every single day for 2 years to discharge it from her body.
Wow.
It's, sometimes things can be discharged there and then, but other times it takes this constant,
Yeah. 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 Repetition.
from the gut of your belly, not from
Yeah.
this throat. Like,
Mm.
and even in those moments and having that rage, we're scared of making noise because
Yeah.
we pushed ourselves down. But if you can explain to the kids, this is what's happening in me and there's nothing to be scared of. This is just
Yeah.
mom letting out her
Yeah.
feelings.
Hmm.
So I can go back to my body just being,
Yeah.
however you describe that to them. But in those pinnacle moments, nothing great is going to come from anything unless you discharge it. And it doesn't mean it has to be a long half an hour
No,
session, but
absolutely
it's
not. No.
like doing something to just
Yeah.
straight
And
it.
yeah, totally. And the other thing that if people feel really uncomfortable about that because they've never heard of this before, and if I'd not done all the work with you, I'd be like, what? Not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Things like just actually going outside. Like even if you've got a toddler, barefoot in the grass and breathing, right? Not
Yeah.
only will that distract the toddler, but it just getting out in fresh air and grounding yourself.
And
Like
grounding.
I used to do that. Like sometimes I'd just actually not even be able to talk and I just leave. And as they got older, they kind of knew, but I just didn't want to explode anymore at them.
Yeah.
So I'd like regulate and come back in, and they'd get a bit annoyed because it's not, it took me a while to be able to be actually regulated enough to go, I'm feeling really frustrated. I'll come back because that's what you should do as they get older is like, I'm really frustrated. I'm at my end. I just need to have a break. But when they're little and
Yeah,
you're by
and
yourself,
it's and by
yeah,
yourself, and it can feel so isolating. And then what can happen is if you do kind of have that explosion, then you feel guilty, and then
oh,
you
totally.
start questioning yourself, and you go in this cycle. And then you feel even more isolated. Then you feel like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
It can be a very, very lonely space when
Yeah.
you're in those moments.
Yeah.
And as you said, you went outside, or going for a walk, moving your body,
Yeah.
jumping up and down, things like
Yeah.
that. Or, I'm going to say it like the biggest thing that even my daughter, my 10-year-old does is we dance in the living room.
Oh,
We
I was going to
put
say
that
dancing.
music on,
I
we
was going
put
to
that
say
music on
dancing.
so
Yeah.
loud,
We used to
and
dance
we
too.
move and we
Yeah.
shake and we
Yeah.
express and we
Yeah.
make noise,
Yeah.
and I understand that in itself can be very, very uncomfortable. It's something that I help with when people are in my spaces. I teach them to start becoming comfortable with their bodies and that
Mm.
expression and movement. That's the somatic, the word that takes time to get comfortable with, but it changes your life.
It does.
It changes your life when you have this deep sense of knowing about what your body wants. You make decisions through your body. Does it want to eat this? Does it want to eat that?
Yeah.
I'm around this type of person. It's making me feel this way.
Yeah.
That conversation's triggered me. Like it's life changing.
It's life changing. I feel like sometimes it's like heaven on earth, but I don't know what heaven's like. But I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I just think finding, obviously people like yourself and other people I'm connecting with, and we're all on that similar journey to help others with our life experience, and then having
Yeah.
tools to support family.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's so important about these tools because
yeah,
if we start to have this acceptance of this polarity of life, and sometimes we're going to be feeling great and on top of parenting, and other times we're going to be on our knees questioning
mhm,
ourselves. When we accept that and go, right, I'm in this polarity now, I'm feeling all the feels, but I'm going to make it through this. This is something that's running through my body.
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's
be
fine.
okay. It's not going to last forever. And when you
Yeah.
do this body work more and more, and then when you feel joyful and on top of it, then you milk that feeling and you enjoy it and you dance around the kitchen and you just go, yeah, I feel this is really good.
It is.
And when
It's,
you have
it's
that
quite addictive.
acceptance of
Yeah.
the two, to say there's never going to be a point where you feel completely on top of parenting.
Oh no.
You
And you
just
know what? One
just
day you might, sometimes 1 hour, but it's forever evolving. And that's what I say to, I'm working with newborns to 10-year-olds, could probably go up to adults. But it's the more that we accept the humanness of life and that we cannot get it right all the time. We're going to mess up. And that, I always talk about rupture and repair. There's always room for repair if we've messed up, and that we're human. I think it just gives us a bit more. I don't mean go out and be an asshole and like yell and scream at your children. We're not talking about that, but also stop being so unkind to ourselves, our
yeah.
limiting
And
beliefs, our
sometimes that
bullying in the
happens.
head.
And
Yeah,
yeah, and it helps them with conflict resolution as long as you take ownership and say, hey, like, yeah, I did lose it then.
yeah,
And have that conversation again. You're teaching them to have
yeah,
that conflict resolution and to take ownership for our own
yeah.
emotions.
Take ownership. Don't blame other people. Like now, the kids are older. I probably have a meltdown once a month. Come home and there's
Pretty
dog
good.
shit on the um on the carpet that no one's cleaned up all day. Those sort of things. And I'm like on the floor, like crying like a baby. They laugh,
They
which
laugh.
is quite funny. I
Mm,
think it's quite funny because then I'm like, you know what? Do you want to hear about my day? Do you want to hear about my
mm,
day? And they go, not really. But that's a bit dysregulated. But what I have seen over time, and again, Eloise and I talked about it in the podcast because we didn't have the conscious parenting when we were parenting her, but she was the easy, compliant kid. But she has seen, and our kids have seen the way that Dave and I have changed the way that we parent and how it's changed the family because it wasn't working. And what I say to family is if they hear this, because oh, what's conscious parenting? I'm like, if you don't have any issues with your parenting, great. You don't need to even know about it. Like if we just had Eloise and she was just that kind of personality, we would never had to deep dive into this.
mm,
It's when things are pushing us and the mirror is in front of us and we're like, oh, not liking this. Then, you either stay in it and you just keep the chaos of like, do as I say because I'm the parent, or you evolve a bit and go, right, we can mentor, we can guide, we can have boundaries. We're still the parent, but we just do it differently,
yeah,
a bit more regulated.
yeah. And it's I will never forget when it was Dalai Lama that actually said like he would never have patience to have kids, and it is the biggest like spiritual
Oh,
journey that you can go on because it pulls
right.
every fear, every
Yep,
um story, everything. It pulls it all up.
sure
And I
does.
and I also think it was just this session I had with a client. As they get a bit older, like I communicate and my kids understand what went on when I was younger.
Yeah,
Um, it's age appropriate, but they
yeah,
understand
same. Mm,
me, and it really helps to build an intimate relationship with them to say, "Hey,
it
mum,
does.
mum isn't perfect. Mum's got
Yeah,
her own stories and her own wounds,
yeah,
and
yep,
sometimes they can come out." And
yeah,
it develops the level of they understand you,
yeah, yeah.
and
It's
yeah, I think
consciousness, it's awareness, like you said,
it's
age appropriate,
beautiful. Yeah, like if anything, if any, communication, it's very little that I have with my mom. If my daughter comes straight up to me and hugs me. There's no other words that is needed.
I know.
Knows that that's a
Oh,
trigger for me.
that's beautiful. Yeah, emotional
Um,
intelligence.
and that's because, and it is interesting having the comparison to my sister who was staying with me. And we'd had some big conversations, and I said, about my niece, does she know anything about this? And she says, no.
Yeah,
And we all kind of sat down and had a bit of like a chat about it. And she was quite intrigued and wanted to listen. I think she was even about 7 at the time, doing it in an age appropriate way, but it lets her get to know mom more on a deeper level. And I
yeah.
think that's beautiful.
Oh, I think it's what we should do, but like you said, you don't need to bombard them with everything and
No.
like nothing, none of that. But again, the journey of getting into the being more conscious, and that it was the family counselling, which wasn't called conscious parenting,
Mhm.
but a lot of it was sitting down with Dave, myself, and Molly, and they would lead questions about our childhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
It's
know what?
important to
Nothing was
hear.
really said from Molly or whatever, but like I was like, oh, they don't know. They don't know we're human. And like especially dads, dads are like, yeah, I'm right. I'm fine. I'm fine. And again, they were like very much sort of saying, oh, that would have been pretty tough, Dave. And as dads and Dave, they go, no, it was fine. Everything's fine. No,
And it,
don't go there.
yeah, but when they see that, I remember the first time I saw my dad cry, and he um struggles with emotional intelligence or
Yeah.
sharing his emotions, and that made me feel so much closer to
I
him.
know. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
When my granddad was passing away, and it made me feel so close to him.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that, all these people that I have in my spaces, the one thing that connects us all is this human experience.
Yeah. And we all want to be loved and liked and
Yeah.
all of that
And
good.
so when we see that, when we see mom having a cry or dad getting
Yeah.
upset, it's actually a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's them expressing them being
Oh,
human.
totally. There's always a fine line. We don't want to be crying all the time and like
Yes, exactly. And that's
and
what I mean.
dumping on
Right.
them, but like, yeah, and
It's
I
not
agree.
about dumping, it's just
No.
about, yeah, it's just about expressing and being able to say, this is going on for me. So say I had a conversation, I've been doing a lot of ecstatic dance. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's very much a journey that you go inwards and you move your body and you express in any way that you want to. And it's brought me so much like this joy and aliveness that I feel inside of me. And I say to my kids, I'm starting to feel that.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't know if I already said that in this, but sharing this journey of I never felt like this, and now I do, and
Yeah.
I'm exploring this.
So beautiful.
I think I
Yeah.
already.
No, look, it's all beautiful. Look, I will finish off here, but I will give everybody show notes in regards to because you've got. So what have you got at the moment going on? You always have one-on-ones, don't you? Like
One-on-one. So we work one-on-one where we work with the mind and the
yes,
body. So that's
yeah,
involved. Every month we do breath work and somatics, and we
yeah,
also work with the mind and the
yeah,
reframe.
yeah.
If
And you still have availability, like because it was quite a few years now. If people work one-on-one with you, do they still have access to you on WhatsApp a lot?
That's the like a once a week we kind of touch
Yeah,
base and that
that's a
type
good
of
idea.
thing. But
Yes.
the deeper work goes into these monthly two sessions a month
Yeah.
that we have these touch points with.
Uh-huh.
And if you're in Perth, I do spaces, I'll do breathwork spaces
Yeah.
as groups, I do
Women's
women's
circles.
circles,
Yeah.
so that's in Perth. But
Mhm.
we really work with the somatics, we really work with making these changes and integrating them into your body.
That's right.
And what else? There's always something.
Do you have a membership still?
Always,
I know.
no, not membership now. I'm always changing and evolving
Well, so
and
am I. So that's the whole, like when we're entrepreneurial
um,
women that we want to help save the world, we're always
yeah.
like, okay, what next? What can we do?
But
Okay.
I think anyone that wants to anything that's resonated with you or you want to ask
Mm.
any questions, just reach out to me on socials.
Yeah.
You may voice note from me.
Yes.
But there's lots of inspiration for your nervous system and living in alignment with this awakening, this love and joy that's within us.
Yeah.
It's taken me a long time to get to this point,
Me too.
but it's also very, very magical and
It's
it's
very beautiful.
possible
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
But
And it is, and particularly mothers, that's is such an important role. And the more that we can learn to forgive ourselves and be kind to ourselves and be the
yeah.
best we can, it helps our children. We can't be perfect, but
And I want my kids to remember seeing me in moments of joy and
yeah,
happiness and
yeah,
doing things for herself that make her
yeah,
feel good and nurtured. And
yeah,
I want them to see that. I want them
yeah,
to see that modeled, this divine feminine that feels a polarity of different emotions.
yeah, all the time.
Um, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, beautiful Dom.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully, lots of people will hear this and reach out because you are much needed in this crazy world that we live in. Bye. So if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave me a rating and review. I love reading all of your messages, so shoot me a DM over on Instagram. It is parentingcollective.au. I also offer a free 15-minute no obligation phone chat. If you'd like to book one, head over to my website www.parentingcollective.com.au and request one there. So try to remember to be kind to yourself and always know you're doing the best you can every day, no matter what your day is looking like. Until next time, much love.